panel. I spoke with Colin this afternoon, and Colin's going to give us a rundown on the names and what is happening with that assessment panel. So thank you, Colin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just before we start, on the panel for that, Councillor Robertson was council's representative on that, and he mentioned at the last council meeting who these people were. What we found out as well at the last minute was that they still had to go to council for ratification. It was thought early in the piece that panel had the authorisation to appoint, but it still has to go back to every council just to reaffirm what the interview panel had. But they had elected members from every council on there. And so these were the 5 people put on there. They were Stephen Smith, Julie Lewis, John Brack, Aaron Broome and Rob Veitch. Mayor's asked me just to give you a bit of a resume on that. If I forget something, Councillor Robertson, let me know. But the presiding member elected was Stephen Smith, who is actually the LGA planning reform partner in the whole planning changeover to the new Act. He was Director of Policy of the LGA. He has worked in local government and state government over a number of years. He currently chairs the City of Campbelltown assessment panel. He's worked for the Department of Environment as Manager Planning and Evaluation. He's probably one of the most highly qualified people in the state at the moment for regional assessment and council assessment panels. So he became the presiding member. The next person, Julie Lewis. She's a senior associate with working for a planning consultancy in Adelaide, URPS. She actually is on the Riverland Regional Assessment Panel. They've had an regional assessment panel for a few years. So that panel just translated across to under the new Act. She's also been on the Streaky Bay Council Assessment Panel as an independent member and presiding member as well. Currently, she's just the independent member. She used to work in local government with the Mid-Murray Council as well. So she's got some background there. Number 3 there was John Brack. So most people would know that name. If you don't, he used to be the CEO of the Regional Council of Goyder for a number of years. But John's background before that, he was a planner and he worked in the planning area of Goyder for a number of years. He's also been on the council assessments panel for the Flinders Ranges, Copper Coast and Barunga West councils. So he's had a reasonable amount of experience on all those panels. Number 4 there was a guy named Aaron Broome. Aaron is the principal planner for the Department of Environment and Water, looking after coastal and river areas. He used to work in local government in Port Arthur Enfield many years ago, but he's very qualified as well. And the 5th one there is a guy named Rob Veitch. Rob's been around lots of years in local government. He worked for Wakefield Plains, Clare, Malala, City of Playford. He's been around a lot of places. He's also on the council assessment panels for Wakefield, Barossa and Light councils. He's had about 30 years in local government. He's just resigned from Wakefield, I think it was, or Adelaide Plains. Adelaide Plains, he just resigned from to set his own business up. So I attended a meeting with these people last Wednesday, not last night, Wednesday before. They were just having an informal gathering to look at how they're going to run the panel and everything. And I was impressed about their knowledge and their experience in the whole place of what they'd had. So I would say that'd be one of the most experienced panels you find in the state. So they're all good value as far as I was concerned. You want to add to that, Councillor Robertson, as well?
No, I think you've covered that pretty well there, Colin.
Thank you.
Out of the 11, they were the top group of 5 people that we selected. As I said earlier, some didn't even know where Jamestown was, or one in particular, he thought it was near Crystal Brook. So but these people are top people, and I think they'll do a very good job.
Just in discussions with them last Wednesday about going through their role, the guidelines of the committee and what they'd done and what they knew was very impressive. So I think that's a good selection of people that the panel did.
All right. Any questions from elected members? And just with that, the sitting fees, that will be shared equally between the 4 councils, Colin? That's the...
Yeah, under the MOU that council signed off earlier in the year, Yeah, the presiding member fee and the independent member fee and all costs and expenses associated will be shared equally in the first 12 months and then reassessed after that.
Councillor Webb?
How often are they supposed to be sitting?
It depends on when there's applications required to go to the regional assessment panel. Could be 6 times, could be 8 times, could be 4 times. We don't know at this stage. It's based on applications.
And where is the sitting fee coming from? The council's budgets or from the fees that come in?
Well, council's budgets already include sitting fees for the members.
No.
Any further questions? No, I think we'll do this in 3 different points. If there's no further questions, there's a recommendation there. Someone prepared to move recommendation 1? Councillor Scarman, Councillor Higgins. Any further questions? All in favour? Against? That is carried. Point 2, someone prepared to move? Councillor Moore, Councillor Scarman. Any questions? All in favour? Against? That is carried. And as it says there, they can be reviewed every 2 years. Someone prepared to move? Councillor Scarman, second Councillor Webb. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Thank you. Right. Fees and charges for the development application, lodgement, planning, whatever we want. I had a few questions to Colin. So whether Peter or Gabby, you've got anything to add or just to clarify a few of the things there. It looks like down the agenda, the information in red is the ones that we can actually change. The others are pretty much set. Now there's some conversation about the first one, the $80, but I'll let Gabby or Peter if they want to add something to it before we get into a bit of discussion. So Gabby or Peter?
Gabby?
So we have the list of new fees and charges which start tomorrow here, and they're set out in 4 different sections. So the first fee, and I'll just run through them to explain. Okay, the first one is the lodgement fee, and that's a flat fee of $177, and that is a lot more expensive than what we used to charge. I had my sheet here somewhere. I'm just trying to find it. And so what?
If we can just, sorry, Gabby, if you can mute your microphones, there's getting a fair bit of background noise. I'll make it a bit easier. Thank you. All right, Gabby.
So the lodgement fee is $177 now. That's gone up considerably, but that whole fee now goes to DipTi. They say that fee is for them to be able to maintain the e-planning portal. The next fee are the assessment fees. So there are planning assessment fees, land division assessment fees, and building assessment fees. So all of those fees come to council. And then there are compliance fees. So some of the compliance fees are new fees that we have never charged before, and all of those fees come to council now as well. So the spread of fees has been made a bit more, the assessment fees are now all 100% going to the planning authority, so it makes it probably a lot fairer, whereas before council would have to give a percentage of their assessment fees back to DipTi. So the fee structure will actually work out better for the council in the long run. There's also referral agency fees. So if we have an application that has to be referred to DipTi or the CFS or Heritage or Native Vegetation, we have to charge a fee, and that's not $398. So we just on-charge that to the applicant. Now, as I said, there are some fees that council can waive or reduce They can't increase the fees to what they are. So at the moment, there is a hard copy processing fee of $80 set out by DipTi, and that fee is if anyone comes in and they can't lodge their application themselves electronically, if they don't have the facilities at home, or they are not able or don't understand how to do it, the council can do it for them, and we can charge $80. Now, because if that's for a planning application. Now, because it's for planning, the Regional Assessment Panel, the RAP, are the authority, so they are the ones they're the only ones that can say no, we can reduce it or we can do without it. So we do have a recommendation there that says that the council advised the RAP that if we want to reduce it, we have to advise the RAP, and then it's up to the RAP to make the decision as to whether we can reduce it or not. The other fees, we sort of haven't really recommended that we reduce them at all. Most of the other councils won't be touching any of those fees. They won't be reducing any of those fees. And therefore, we sort of feel that we probably should be consistent with the other rural councils, particularly the ones in the Regional Assessment Panel that we're with. And if there are some of those fees that council want to reduce, some of them have to go to the Regional Assessment Panel to get approval for that. So I'm not sure if I've explained all that very well, but are there any questions on that?
All right, I'll take questions. You can unmute your microphones now if you want to ask a question. It appears as though that $80 one, most of the other councils are going to $40. So whether that's what we should be doing, but questions, please.
Oh,
Councillor Brown.
look, I mean, I'd be happy to move what's there, that we don't wish to charge a fee for the first year and then probably review it after that. That'd be my view, but I don't know how others feel. No one wanted to put a fee on it when we did the budget.
Councillor Higgins.
I'm agreeing with Ben on that one. I believe that if people don't have the capability to do that, but they're still willing to do building in our area, then we shouldn't penalise them if they are unable to access a computer or use a computer in a way that makes that possible for them. So I'd like to see that one gone. But the one I'm wondering about is the one that's in the development fees. In the writing it says $73, but in the fee it says $450, the building assessment fee. Can you explain that for me, please, Gabby?
So the building assessment fee, is sort of staggered. So all the buildings are classed differently. So
yep.
How are classed as class 1? So class 1 development fees are 0.25% of the development cost, with a minimum of $450. And so then you have different classes. You have class 2 to 9, which are generally hay sheds, commercial, industrial buildings, and they're tiered differently. So they're for a value up to $20,000. The development cost is $670. And then after that, you take $20,000 off the value and add 0.4%, and so on. So it's sort of tiered like that. That list is at the second to last page of your agenda.
Yep.
So the building fees are tiered differently, whereas they used to be charged at per square metre, and now they're charged at the value of the building.
Thanks, Gabby.
Peter, if you want to comment there, and then Kathy next, please.
Yeah, just to help with that understanding of the table. So the table on page 9 with the red figures and things like that is an effort to look at what we had charged in the last financial year and marry that up with the new fees to get an approximation of what the difference is between one year and the next. if they, you know, if everything was equal. So where it says building assessment fee $73 and $450 there, it's based on an assessment of the fees that were charged last financial year and where they might sit. So the figure above it, the building assessment fees per metre square, is a part of that. So some of them come through on that, and some of them come through at a flat rate fee. So it's a division of last year's fees to say, well, some of them are over a value, some of them are within the value, so they hit that flat rate figure. So that's why there are those two, why that extra list there with the assessment fee 73 was 73, now 450.
Councillor Webb?
I had a concern about the signage for public notification, where, you know, if we had to do it because the developer didn't do it, is it possible to that higher fee that's likely to get them to be compliant? Say charge $200 and perhaps they'll do it rather than being charged $200.
Gary?
So it's a bit of a difficult one because there's certain stipulation as to what size the sign has to be. It has to be laminated. It has to be put up, like if it's on a vacant allotment, it may have to be put up on this or whatever. And the only problem is if people are doing it themselves, then we have to check to make sure that the sign is up for the whole public notification period, because that's to make sure that they're compliant. So we're probably going to have to go out and check to make sure it's there anyway. Some councils are not allowing people to do it themselves, and they're just not giving them the choice, and they're just saying that council will be the people that will put the signs up, and that way we can make sure that they're complying. And the fee has been worked out. I mean, a lot of the other councils are charging a lot higher fee rate than that. So we've tried to sort of be fairly reasonable with the suggestion of $200, because we're going to have to travel, put it up, take it down, make sure it stays there, etc.
Gabby, does that have to be a standard size? Like, if there's developers, they can just put up a little sign and say, yeah, that's compliant, but it should be a reasonable size. So is it visible? So is there a standard size that it has to be?
Yes, there is a standard size, which I think is A3, and there's particular details that they have to put on there that have to be able to be read clearly.
Councillor Robertson?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I've got two questions. One is to do, if I put up a large hay shed, would the CFS need to be involved? And therefore there would be a referral fee of $398. Have we had that fee in the past? So the referral fee, we've always had a referral fee. It hasn't been that much. It's been about $290 or something like that. We've always had that, but that doesn't has nothing to do with hay sheds. It's when a dwelling is being built in a high fire danger area. So there's certain zones such as Beetaloo Valley, Bundjaley Forest, then we have to refer that to the CFS. And I mean, Alan can probably give you more detail on that, but it wouldn't, I don't think, but Alan, can you just answer that with the hay sheds as far as CFS referrals go?
No, you were right, Tomo. You're muted now.
Sorry. Hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
In the past, we haven't referred hay sheds off to the CFS for any report, but we do, as Gabby said, the Beetaloo Valley, Bundjaley, all Class 1 dwellings are required to be referred off. Class 10 hay sheds or 2 to 9s, so 7 and 8s are hay sheds. We haven't referred any of them off as yet. But I was at a meeting on Tuesday, and I think they're looking at that due to the fact that they often store flammable materials, hay and machinery. So that one's being looked at, but at the moment, up until now, we haven't. generally take care of that in accordance with an SA plannings, with an SA, what do you call it? The practice, I guess it's called. So where we have specified a amount of fire water, but all of that's changing. But I know the Country Fire Service had a meeting with the planning people on Thursday, yesterday, to work through some of that. So there may be some changes to that, but at the moment it's just Class 1 dwellings or additions to Class 1 dwellings, or any change of classification. We have had sheds that have been converted into bedrooms or rumpus rooms, so they have been referred off.
Right, Merv?
Yeah, thanks, Al. And the second question was, I see there's a fee for land division. Have we had, did we charge a fee for that in the past?
Generally, when land divisions are lodged electronically, we don't collect the fees. It's what was the Development Assessment Commission would collect all the fees, and I think some of the fees, but very minimal fees, come back to council. And I should have probably checked that, but I think like we'll be better off now. We'll get the $200 for the statement of requirements, so we'll get that fee.
Thank you.
Any further questions, please? No? All good? All right. There's some recommendations there. Anything you want to add, Colin? Are you happy with the discussion? No, you're muted, Colin.
Just when you finish moving the motion, I just want to finish a couple of closing comments. That was all.
All right, that's okay.
Well, I'm happy to move. Do you want them one, or are you going to do the whole lot?
Do them individually, please, Councillor Brown.
Well, I'm happy to move the first one.
All right, but there's no charge. Seconded, Councillor Scarman. Any questions? Those in favour? Against? That is carried. Thank you. Number 2. Councillor Robertson, prepared to move. Seconded, Councillor Webb. Any further questions? All in favour? Against? That is carried. Number 3, building assessment and compliance fees. Councillor Scarman, Councillor Higgins. Any further questions? All in favour? Against? That is carried. And number 4, the erection of the sign. Moved Councillor Webb, seconded Councillor Scarman. Any questions? All in favour? Against? That is carried. Thank you. Colin.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just some closing comments on this Planning Development Act. That comes into operation tomorrow morning. We're finding out as of today there is still some clarification happening on a range of issues under the Act. So it's going to be hard for anyone to be able to interpret everything correctly. So what I'm suggesting, if you get ratepayers coming to you asking questions about how the system works or anything like that, I think the best instance, the first place, is refer them to staff, and then staff can get back to you as well after that, after they talk to them. It's just that we don't want to complicate the process with having to go backwards and forwards, because things have changed, like 2 or 3 things changed this afternoon that we didn't know about. So there's clarifications happening all the time. Phase 2 councils are almost the test before it gets to phase 3. So there's all these things are happening along the way. In doing that, it's actually caused a lot of work for our staff, and especially Gabby and Tomo through this period. We're getting stuff late, we're getting stuff changing, all these different things. So I just want to say well done to Tomo and Gabby and Tomo for what they've had to put up with over the last 6 months, probably, from that. So, but if you find that it's not what you think it is happening in this, things are changing. So please contact staff. That's the main thing.
All right, thanks, Colin. So is there any further questions on the agenda for tonight? Councillor Pollard?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Okay. Colin, when these invoices go to people for their development or their whatever they're doing, is it possible to put against those fees that are state government, that they are state government fees and not council fees?
We'll have to have a look at the invoice template, but I'm sure we can work something out. We'll have a go at it doing that. Yes.
Yeah, I just think it's important that people understand that it's not us for a change pushing the barrow. It's the state government. So
Yep.
We can't get out of it.
Councillor Webb?
Yeah, I did a quick look through on those new fee structure and did the different where the fees went, and just on those previous year figures, we actually came out ahead of dip type, 59,870 to 55,604, just on those figures that were provided.
Gabby?
Just council might like to also note that we have to pay annually a fee. We didn't have to pay it last year, but if our development application value is over $10,000,
10 million.
10 million.
sorry, 10 million, then we have to pay around $6,000. So I think that we will reach that this year, considering that I think we're up to about 7 million or something already. So that will go to DIPTI as well, and that's meant for the e-planning system as well.
No further questions? If not, that's all that is on the agenda for tonight. So thank you all for your attendance, staff and members, and you can go back to what you're doing, Councillor Pollard.
Thank you.
All right.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank
See ya.
you.
Time, Leon.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.